peace forever and always. Welcome to another edition of the Realities Temple on Earth. Your host is His Divine Masculine Brother AdMinister Taalik Ibn'rad.
Let us receive the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. That means God is the greatest. All praise is due to Allah.
In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, we give Him praise and thanks for His guidance and His blessings through His prophets and messengers. As Muslims, we honor all of God's prophets. We make no distinction between them. We are taught that all of them come from the same eternal source, and at the root of all of the teachings of the prophets, it is the same. Whence comes confusion? Since God is not the author of confusion, but of peace, how come the religious community of the world is so divided and so filled with anger, hatred, and bitterness toward each other, when if all of the prophets that ever came to the people could come back, you would see one community of prophets of God that love each other, and you would feel the pain of the prophets, seeing how those who use their names hate each other and seek to kill each other over aspects of religion that they don't understand. I am so grateful to God for Moses and the Israelite prophets who gave us the Torah, or the Old Testament. I'm grateful to Allah for Esau, or Jesus, and his apostles who gave us the Injil, or the Gospel, or the New Testament. And of course, we are exceedingly pleased that He sent into the world Muhammad ibn Abdullah and revealed to him and through him the final revelation to the world of man and mankind, the Holy Quran. Peace be upon these worthy servants of Allah. I am before you not as a student of Moses or Jesus or of the Prophet Muhammad, independent of a man who came. I loved Moses and I loved Jesus. I didn't know much of Muhammad, peace be upon him, as a child. But I'm here first and foremost to represent the coming of God. And to remind us of his great love for us and his great mercy toward us, that he would not send a prophet, but would come himself. And because he came, we are here. And because he came and saw one among us worthy to meet with him, to be taught by him, to be raised by him, and missioned by him to a great people who once were a people but are considered by the prophets dead, dry bones in a valley. We once were a great people, but we are now all but completely destroyed. But a merciful God loved us, even though we did not have the sense to love ourselves. A merciful God thought enough of us, in spite of our foolishness, in spite of our ignorance, in spite of our being made other than ourselves by our open enemy. In spite of all of that, he chose us to be his own people, and that he would be our God and our defender, our protector. He chose us. Not because we were better than others. He didn't choose us to arrogate to ourselves that we are the choice and nobody else is. Whenever God chooses you, he has a purpose for your life. You can run from it only so long, but he will whip you into submission, as he did the prophet Jonah. Your heart, I'm talking to black people now, has been fashioned through our suffering. Your soul, though ruined, it is prophesied that he would restore your soul. And because of undeserved suffering, he was going to use your heart to bring the whole of humanity back to himself. This is why I took the subject of the children of Israel for so many weeks, because we never did understand the children of Israel. Israel here represents the entire race of Caucasian people who were new on our planet and have been the conquerors of space, of the depth of the sea, of the earth. And you don't have to ask, have they conquered us? They have conquered us so thoroughly that they made us into themselves. And we as a people are their children. And they treat us like that. And we act toward them like that. Do you have a job for me? I lost my job. Can I please have some welfare? Can you send me to school? See, we are like children asking a parent for things and want the parent to respect us as an equal when we come before them as children. But it was the children of Israel that God chose to visit. It was the children of Israel that because of their suffering and their sojourn in Egypt for 400 years, that he decided to visit them and give them Moses and lead them out of a land of bondage, and he offered them land of their own, only as a sign of you. You have no land that you can call your own, and even though we've tried to call this one ours, they quickly remind us, don't get it twisted. Just because we helped you to elect a black man to sit in the White House and we regret it totally, we just want to remind you that you are ours. A bad foster parent, too. You know, a parent that gives us the worst food to eat because we are not feeding ourselves. Well, give them the slop. Put a McDonald's, 10 of them, in a 1-block area. Sure, that's a gross exaggeration. But the point is, you're living off of garbage. Your health is the worst of the American people, and you are in less than a third world condition. But the Quran says that God is going to make a messenger for you. And that messenger would be the Messiah. And he was going to teach that messenger, because everything had already been revealed through the prophets, but he was going to explain the meaning of the books. Teach him the science of life. My God. And raise him, and through him raise us to the pinnacle of civilization. That's a great, wouldn't you say that's great news? Good news? But it's not only good news for black people. No, because you're not to hold the news. You got to be a news teller. God doesn't raise you for yourself. He raises you for human beings who are suffering. So to make us wise is not to make us like our former slave masters, that we would mistreat the people, but to make us wise is that we would share wisdom with those who are deprived and be the cornerstone of a new government, the cornerstone of a new world, the world that all the prophets said would come about at the end of this world's time. Well, I thank Allah that we are at the end of this world's time. I thank him that he has come to set justice in the earth. And I thank him for this extraordinary human being that he chose to be a messenger Messiah to us.
Yes, sir.
The Honorable Elijah Muhammad. I greet you with the greeting words of peace. Assalamu alaikum. Now, let me say how happy I am that God would permit me to come before you one more time. I thank you for your honoring us with your presence and giving us some time out of your precious life to share with you something of wisdom that will benefit all who listen. I thank Allah for Brother Minister Ismail Muhammad and the wonderful teaching that our brother has been doing. I just love listening to him on Sundays when I'm not here. I'm always listening and looking. And I want him to know and you to know that when a man preaches like that, shouldn't be an empty seat in the house. If you only wait for me to come out, then this is a cult. And you are cult worshipers. And you're going to be the loser. Because none of us are worthy of worship. Only God. So respecting your teachers is fine. But my God, when a man is teaching like that, it would seem to me that you would fill the house every time brother is talking. So that when I come out, you just have to get Soldiers Field. Today, to be very honest, I've been trying to get a subject together. And I haven't done that. And I said, to Allah, well, I know there's some things I want to say, but the best thing that Honorable Elijah Muhammad told me when I used to write out every word of a radio broadcast, and I did that for 3 years, And one day he said, "Oh, no, brother." He said, "Just go stand up. Have an idea in your mind, but go and stand up and let Allah speak through you." So I find that the best subjects that I teach are the ones where I just stand up and let Allah speak. Now listen. A channel is nothing but a channel. And you do that every day when you turn on the radio. You don't worship the channel, you just listen for what's coming through it. Well, your brother is a channel. And to prove this today, now I don't know what's on your minds, but Allah does. So sometimes you come, you have questions you want to throw at the minister. Well, you hold your question on your mind. That's all I'm asking you to do. If you got a question, just hold it. And if by the time I finish today, your question is not answered, well, okay then. I'll have to come back another time. And so will you. Now, in our lessons that Master Farad Muhammad gave us, there is a lesson that asks the question, why does the enemy keep our people illiterate? That's a question. Of course, if I asked, are you illiterate? You wouldn't answer saying, me, I am. But let me ask a question. How many of you have been blessed to have a college education and have a Bachelor of Arts, Bachelor of Science degree? Would you raise your hands? Hi. That's wonderful. How many of you have been blessed with further education to have a Master of Arts, Master of Science, Master of Business Administration, a master degree? May I see your hands? Less number. How many of you have been blessed to be a Juris Doctor, Doctor of Law, or a PhD, or a medical doctor? Would you raise your hands? Number much smaller. I heard on the news the other day that there are 5,000 PhD degrees that are working as janitors, as garbage collectors. Being a janitor is not a disgrace. Being a collector of garbage is not a disgrace. Honest labor is worthy of us, especially if it allows us to take care of our obligations. But when you see 5,000 PhDs that have no job, or are working in jobs that they are overly qualified for. How many of you here are in college and now hope to get your degree? Let me see your hands. Okay. Well, if the PhDs don't have jobs and you are hoping for a degree to do what? To do what? To get a job. Well, there are millions of Americans out of work. The president just lost spectacularly over jobs. And I'll tell you something, it wouldn't matter who is in the White House. Your job situation is really not going to improve. I don't mean to be a peddler of doom or gloom, but when you study the prophecies of these books, guided in the study by one who has been taught by God, then we know tomorrow's headlines before they appear. Let me give you an example that you're going to see in a short while. Stock market crashes. Worse than 1929. Well, you don't worry about that because you're not a stockholder. But look at the people that have put their hope in stocks. Another headline: dollar falls, hyperinflation, dollar worthless. What are you going to do when the dollar that you love and will hurt others for has no more value? You have gold, some of you, during the bling season. You bought a little gold and you bought a little diamonds, and people are telling you right now, bring your old gold. May I tell you, gold never gets old. So you want money, paper, that has no value over gold that in the 60s was $35 an ounce, is now over $1,300. Another headline coming up: gold at $2,000, $2,500 an ounce. Do you have an ounce somewhere? You have your paper. Oh, I see. Well, let me pull out some paper. Wouldn't it be something if you came out one day and saw a man with a $1,000 bill lighting his cigar? Wouldn't that break your heart? Especially if you don't have $1,000 to light yours or even a cigar. But the value of this paper is steadily going down. Headline a few days ago: the Federal Reserve Bank buying up U.S. treasuries. Look, Brothers and sisters, this is serious. Now, of course, you know the latest gossip. Jay-Z and J.C. Hammer having a fight. You know about Lindsay Lohan, poor child, and Taylor Swift, and yes, and Kanye. You are up on all the garbage. You heard about Bishop Eddie Long, and that's been your conversation, and others. But what will be the future of America when private bankers buy up U.S. treasuries? Well, I don't know nothing about that. All I know is I know. And that's why you're in the right place today. Now, let's go back to the question. Why does the enemy keep our people illiterate? The Honorable Elijah Muhammad gave this answer when he was 3 years old in the teachings, so that he can use them for a tool, and also a slave. He keeps them blind to themselves so that he can master them. I'm going to ask another question. How many of you are in high school or have dropped out? Would you raise your hands? Nobody wants to admit that. Come on now. You at home. You know, that's cool. You in high school or you dropped out? In high school. High school. High school. Dropped out. Okay. High school. Dropped out. High school. Okay. Do you know that many millions of Americans are getting a high school diploma and are considered functionally illiterate? I'm not talking about a few people. I'm talking about millions. Now, if I am a functional illiterate, meaning I cannot read or write at the grade level that I got my diploma from high school on, but I can't write at that level, I cannot read at that level, but I'm out in the world now. Well, if I can't read, books don't excite me. If I can't read, then I am an oral person. So my ear is the most important instrument in my life, because it is through the ear that a word will come that will keep me ignorant. It is through my ear that a word will come that can start me growing toward wisdom. In this Bible, when God speaks to Israel, I've never read once where God told Israel to read. God told Israel, hearken, hear, listen to the voice of God. So most people get their knowledge from what they hear, not necessarily from what they read. Now, knowledge is your birthright. Every human being should be gifted with the right to know self and the environment and the universe into which God gave us birth and life. For us to come out of our mother's wombs and be 20 years old, 30 years old, not able to read. Victims now of where we place our ears. Who do you listen to? Well, if I'm a gangbanger, I listen to my buddies. And some of them have knowledge that they pass on to the members of their group, but not necessarily wisdom. Some knowledge. Well, if the leader knows more than the followers, and the leader is ignorant, then the scriptures of the Bible are correct. If the blind lead the blind, both fall in the ditch. Now, in Chicago alone, nearly 50% of our children drop out of school. Among whites and Hispanics, the number is outrageously large as well. Now, they use sports figures and entertainment figures to tell you, stay in school. It's like going to Cook County Jail and telling the inmate, stay in Cook County. Staying in a school that will let you out as a functional illiterate is a waste of your life and your time. Something is wrong with the educational system that this is the result of what it produces. Well, look, if I turn on my radio, my ears and the air waves are feeding my brain cells, producing for me my mind. So I've turned my dial to the funkiest station because I like funk. I mean, just the language should tell you you should stay away. When somebody is funky, you're trying to tell them, look, there's a bathroom here, take a shower, put a little deodorant on. You smell terrible. Well, when something is funk, of course, this is a terrible age that we live in because good becomes bad, bad becomes good. When something is funky, it's nice, it's right. It's just a messed up group of ignorant. ignoramuses that are being used as a tool. Let me see. Now, the jobs that used to be around for the unlearned, unskilled labor force. See, when I was coming up, men had jobs. You would see them with their lunch pail going out to work. Mommy was at home preparing the sandwich. Daddy and Grandpa, if you remember back far enough, they had a little job. And off of one man's pay, they were able to put food on the table, and at Easter time, get you a little suit or a dress or something nice for Christmas. But today, you have hardly nothing to look forward to. You can't look forward to a job because the jobs are not there. So how do you survive when you turn on your TV and you see all this wonderful stuff that is being offered right next to a food commercial? McDonald's as the chief programmer of your babies that are now telling you where to take them. Mommy, I want to go to McDonald's. And silly mommy, all right, me too. So you're living off of the garbage that is being fed to you. You call it fast food, but it's killing the American people. Well, I don't go to McDonald's. I go to where? Well, I go to the corner store, because in the black community, it's called a food desert, because there are not adequate supplies of fresh fruit and vegetables available. So you're eating out of cans, or you're eating really things that your health has been grossly and greatly compromised. Why does the enemy keep our people illiterate? So that he can use them as a tool. A tool for what? What is a tool? It is an implement, an instrument or utensil held in the hand and used to form, shape, fasten, add to, take away from, or otherwise change something by cutting, hitting, digging, rubbing. But it is also a person used to accomplish another's purposes. All my young brothers here, 18 years of age, please raise your hand. 18 and up. All my sisters, raise your hand if you're 18 or up. Okay, now look. War is on the horizon. Another headline. Israel attacks Iran. America comes to Israel's aid. We have to have volunteers because we don't have the draft now. Excuse me. Well, We got to make the armed forces attractive, like a Whopper. So we're going to make the armed forces attractive. Be all that you can be. Join the army. And you see them, they're crisp, they're sharp. The Marines, they're crisp, they're sharp. And you in the hood, you know. Job. I ain't got no job. I dropped out of school. This is a chance for me to get some money, see the world, and perhaps get an education. Yeah, that's the bait. You know, when you go fishing, you always hide the hook with the bait that the fish likes. So you join. You're in boot camp now. How many of us have been to boot camp? Now, okay, thank you so much. Sisters, you been to boot camp too? Oh, you got the boot in your camp. They call that domestic violence. Now, we're smiling, we may be laughing, but gaining knowledge should be a pleasurable experience. You know, when you're in school, if it's not pleasurable, who wants to be there? If I'm not growing, who wants to be there? If I'm not learning something useful, who wants to be there? Now, boot camp. I cut your hair. Sorry about them dreads, brother, but can't have that. You clip it all down, you know, and you're a soldier now. But there's an enemy somewhere. See, anytime you're a soldier being sent to Iraq or Afghanistan, you're not sent there to build a country. You're a soldier. Soldiers are sent to do what soldiers do. They kill. Am I making sense? Now, look at how crazy the system is. You're a mother. You're at home with your children. And now you are off to war. In the 40s, they never took a woman out of her house, took her away from her children, and sent her to war. Don't you know you can't kill and nurture at the same time? By nature, you are a nurturer of human life. But once they take you out of the home and put you in boot camp and send you to Afghanistan, then they had to teach you of an enemy that would take your life and put it in your heart to take that enemy's life. So before war, they have to make you hate the people that they're going to send you to war against. What made Muhammad Ali a great, honored, loved, and respected human being? Because when they asked him to step forward to join the army, he said, "I'm not going." He said, "The Viet Cong have not done anything to me. They never call me nigger." Wait now. That may sound simple, But somebody that does not respect your life is your enemy. So where are you going over there when your enemy is right here? See, so now, wait. But if I'm going to give you a job because you don't have one, don't know how to make one, I make the armed forces attractive. I make you a killer. I send you overseas. You do 1 tour of duty, 2 tours of duty, 3 tours of duty, and you come back home and there is no job. And you've been trained to kill. The economy falling apart. And the first law is survival. Look at where we live in the hood, man. You don't have an education that gives you an opportunity to be all that you could be. Columbus discovered America. I mean, come on. George Washington, he never told a lie, you know, sweet George. What are you being taught? That you can actually use almost nothing. That's perpetrating a fraud to bring you to college and ask your parents to pay this kind of money, and then you borrow money from the government, and when you leave college and can't find a job, you have a debt to pay and no money with which to pay it. That's perpetrating a fraud. So our young people are being used as tools. When the war was going in Iraq, and every day they would come on the news with the casualties. Did you notice the ages? 18, 19, 20, 22, 24. And on television they call them heroes. They died for our country. Is it the truth? I'm asking a question. Did they really die for the benefit of the country, for freedom, for justice, for equity? Or did they die for oil, for drugs, to give America power in the Middle East, to control the oil coming out of that region of the world? This is what you died for, but who can tell you the truth? And if someone stands up to tell you the truth, we are anti-American. We are haters, when in fact we are the real patriots. Freeing the American people from the bondage of ignorance that allows government to misuse their lives. I watched President Bush go home at night to his children at the White House, state dinners, Rumsfeld, Cheney, Condoleezza Rice, Colin Powell. See, we go home to our children. What do those mothers go home to? those fathers, those friends whose hearts are aching over their friends that perished and are still perishing, or they come home broken, on drugs, wounds that can never heal, legs gone, arms gone, face destroyed. And then government sometimes won't give them the money they deserve. Try to find a way out of paying the soldiers who paid the ultimate price for the Agent Orange that has destroyed them. Some of our people think we've moved out of the inner cities to the suburbs, and we didn't know that we were moving out of a place where we had relative safety to an environment that looks good, but it's near some dump that is poisoning the water table. Your house looks better, but your health is worse because you're drinking water that is death. Who cares about you? Does government really care? Does corporate America really care? Then the last one to care must be you and me and us. And if we don't care, we go along with our own destruction because we're too cowardly to speak up, to unite, and to bring about real, meaningful change. So he keeps us ignorant so that he may use us as a tool and also a slave. Now, we wouldn't want to think that in 2010 that we are functioning as slaves. But a slave is a human being who is owned as property and is absolutely subject to the will of another. My God. Do you really think that we are free? Then why did Jesus say, you shall know the truth, and the truth will set you free? Then how can you know the truth except there's somebody willing to sacrifice their life to tell it? Because there are those who don't want the masses to learn so that they can keep us as tools and slaves. This is not a race thing. There are white people that are in this condition. There are Hispanics. There are Asians. But we are the worst off. So the Bible says, my people are destroyed for the lack of knowledge. Knowledge. He keeps us shackled. It's a metal fastening, usually one of a linked pair. You know how when we get arrested and the arms are here and the feet are shackled? Can you walk good? Have you seen those that are arrested trying to walk? They have to put their hand on their head when they put them in the vehicle. I've never had that experience, but I know some of us have. And sometimes if they want to be real mean, they just push your head into the automobile. Some of you have had that experience. Shackled, man. But you know the worst kind of shackle is when you're supposed to have an education, and yet the education does not give you power to make a life for yourself. Those are serious shackles. Only a few more minutes. In the lessons and teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, he talked about the 85%, the 10%, and the 5%. Some of my brothers here may belong to the 5% nation. This may not be the subject that you thought you were going to hear, but it may be the subject that you need to hear. Because the blight of ignorance that is on the people is so shackling them. I was not feeling well for the last few days. I laid in my bed and I turned the television, and there was Jerry Springer. Now, I remember when Jerry Springer first came on television, he sent me a letter. He wanted me to come on his television show. I didn't think that much of Mr. Springer then, so I paid him no attention. Well, since then, he's really become an icon, but an icon of filth, degeneracy, and the manifest ignorance of the people. And people laugh and cheer at ignorance. That's a human being that could be as great as any other human being. But they're shackled here and shackled to their sexual depravity. Come on. So I usually would not listen, but I'm not going to lie. What? I said, I want to see this. A beautiful, she could have been Hispanic, but or more dark-skinned Caucasian. They were featuring strippers. Now she was a beautiful woman, and she walked and came down the pole and did her stuff. And for the whole hour, she was off to the side, just showing her wares. While the people coming on to talk were strippers who got outstripped by somebody who took their boyfriend or whatnot, and then they start fighting and the people in the audience, Jerry. I said, man, no, but what I was looking at is madness that's making money for a few at the expense of the mental state of the American people. If you don't demand better, you will never get better. And right after that, Maury Povich came on. Now, I really had to keep my dial there, because there was a beautiful black sister who swore that this brother, she was looking for her baby's daddy. And he showed up on the Maury Povich show with 2 other women claiming he was their baby daddy. May the Lord have mercy on us, boy, I'm telling you. This is madness. The poor girl, her baby was 18 months old, and she'd been looking for the father, found him on the Maury Povich show. Trying to defend himself against 2 other women who accused him. Now, you say, well, minister, why would you waste time on that? No. That's the condition of the ignorance of the people. Do you understand that the masses of our people are in that condition? This is a serious problem. When you call yourself in a democracy, you're supposed to be an enlightened electorate that knows how to choose people to serve your self-interest. But if you don't know what your self-interest is, who will you choose to represent your self-interest? So the Tea Party is galloping on. Right. And the American people think that Obama has taken their country. Poor fella. The country has been taken, all right, but it's not by Obama. Obama has not offered to buy the U.S. treasuries. America is so in debt that the Federal Reserve can offer to buy U.S. treasuries and print money and put money into America's sick economic system, and the stock market goes up as the wealth of America goes down. Brothers and sisters, this is serious. 85% of the people, black, white, Hispanic, Asian, Jew, Gentile, 85% are uncivilized. When you got a woman that will get on television and just pull down her garment and show her breasts, that's not civilized. When they used to show you Tarzan in the jungle and you saw some people running through the jungle with no clothes on, what did you think of them? Oh my God, how uncivilized. Now you stripping. You say, I'm not a stripper. The heck you are not. You don't care anymore. There's no sense of decency and shame. You can walk around with a thong, call yourself going to the beach. Ain't that a beach? No, I said a beach. A beach. And you're happy over yourself like that? When you degrade a woman, you are destroying your nation. And when you as a woman allow any man to degrade you, you are participating not only in your destruction, but in the destruction of the moral character and fiber of a nation. You don't design your clothes. Somebody else is designing them. And they're filthy. I went to the mall, and there was a woman. She had on these low-cut jeans, and I don't know whether she dropped something on purpose, but I'm embarrassed. I mean, I have to tell you, I turned my head, but I did see. But some of you like that kind of attention. When men look at you like that, in that lustful, suggestive way, you feel your power as a woman, but you feel the misuse of your power. Because your real power is between your ears, not between your legs. Who is the 85% uncivilized people, poison animal eaters, slaves from mental death and power, people who do not know the living God or their origin in this world, and they worship that which they know not what? Easily led in the wrong direction, but hard to lead in the right. That's the condition of the masses in Africa, in Asia, in Israel. I don't care where they are. The masses are under this kind of mentality, which is from Satan himself. That's right. That's the 85%. But then there's a 10% that are the rich, the slave makers of the poor, who teach the poor lies, making the poor believe that there's some mystery God up in space that's going to do something for you. You're searching for this mystery God, but it's really you. That when you find yourself and your connection to God, you have found God. Now get up and do something to prove that you have found God in your life. These are known as the bloodsuckers of the poor. I'm almost finished. Strange. That the only time a command was given to read was in the revelation of this book, Quran. It's in the 96th chapter of the Holy Quran. May I read it? It's the first revelation that Muhammad the Prophet heard when he was in a cave. It's the 96th surah. The number is significant. You have a 9 and a 6. During the theology of time, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us about one, and the 10,000 parts that it takes to make up one. And if you look at the one, he brought it down in an angle, and then it started rotating, making 6. So the Holy Quran and the Bible teach that this universe is made on the number 6. But it's a 1 that starts rotating. Now just listen, just listen. This 96th surah is called Al-Alaq, the clot. And it reads like this: in the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful. Read. In the name of thy Lord, who creates man from a clot. Read. And thy Lord is most generous, who taught by the pen, taught man what he knew not. Those are the first verses that Muhammad heard. You can't find that anywhere. In my reading of the Bible, I always hear, listen, the word of God. But here, a command is given to Muhammad, read. And it says, Muhammad said to the voice that he heard, but I can't read. And Allah never said, oh, I understand. He just said it again, read. In the name of your Lord, with the help of God, read, who created man from a clot and taught man by the pen what man knew not. If you refuse to learn to read, then God cannot instruct you in his ways except through your ability to read his communication that he gave to his prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. Read. That's an order from God. Read, but there was no book. So wait. If the man could not read and there was no book, then what was he to read? So after 23 years of hearing and his companions writing down what he heard, this Quran was formed, and the arrangement of it was guided by Allah. So you would think that the first 5 verses that he heard should be in the first surah or the first chapter, but it's way in the 96th chapter. Read. Now, I spent the weekend just trying to study the clot. And I'd like to share with you what al-alaq means in Arabic. Not that I'm an Arabic scholar, but I'm telling you what the Arab scholars say. Say, well, why don't you know Arabic? Well, my people don't know it. So why would I come to you speaking Arabic and you can hardly speak English? So Allah never sends a messenger, but he sends that messenger delivering the message in the language that the people understand. Otherwise you would call God stupid. Now look, according to the Arabic scholars, the word alaka has three meanings. One, leech. Two, suspended thing. Three, blood clot. Each one of these meanings has meaning. Now, to the sisters, let me say to you how precious a woman is in the sight of God. Because it is only through you that the species of human beings comes into existence. You agree? So your wombs represent the workshop of God. Every great human being came from your womb. Every terrible human being. And wouldn't you hope to produce a human from your womb that would bring pleasure in your life, that God himself would be pleased with? Well, there's a way to do that. You don't lay down in the back of a truck, but you can. And sometimes luck up on a nice job. From the back of a truck, my son was conceived. I'm not trying to be comical today, but it's just coming out that way. You know, but seriously, many of us are ashamed of the circumstances of our birth, but you need not be. Because the circumstances of your birth help to shape you, form you. Now, Allah says, I created you in the womb. See, not your mother, not your father, God. Now, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad says, and there's an argument, when is life in the womb? Because they're trying to make it seem easy to you to abort life. I want to say before I go any further, to any sister in this audience who is watching by television or whatnot, this is not condemnation of you if you have had an abortion, but it is instruction for you that in the future you will not do this. The past is the past, and what we do in ignorance is done. But I want to share with you some knowledge today that makes your womb so sacred, and what is within it so sacred that you would not want to abort it. Now, I don't agree that if somebody raped me and I'm pregnant, that I should carry that to term. Hell no. Not only kill the rapist, damn it, his seed will not come from none of ours. See? No, some murders are justified. You just have to know when. But just to have sex and find out we're pregnant and not want the embarrassment of a pregnancy or the strain and pain of a pregnancy, so you kill what is in the womb because the government says it's okay. Well, the government is saying a lot of things are okay today that God does not agree with. Sisters, from the moment that sperm meets that egg, the first cell of life begins. That's all right. It's someone fainted. Don't be overly alarmed. Get some cold water, some ice. There's a nurse on the scene. We'll take care of it. Let's get back to our lesson, if you don't mind. Now, since you can't help her, whoever fainted, help is there. So where should your attention be? On the word. Now, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, the moment that that sperm touches that egg, the first cell of life begins. You wonder what happens to the rest of the sperm, since there are hundreds of millions sometimes emitted, but only one can do the job. Some die in the vaginal tract because they're not strong enough to make the journey, but the few that make the journey, only one can fertilize the egg, and the others become food for the newly fertilized egg. God wastes nothing. Well, what about those that died? They were unworthy to live. And wait a minute. How dare you say something like that, minister? You have to be worthy to come to birth, because life is a journey that has many ups and downs. Life is not easy. So in order for you to be fit to run the race of life, God starts the selection process when the sperm is emitted into the vaginal tract. Are you understanding me? Now, I had a picture of a clot that had something that looked like tentacles coming out of this clot. These tentacles are that which this refers to as the leech. You know, there are leeches in life. I'm sure everybody has met one. And some of us have become one. But a leech is that which attaches itself to a host and feeds from it to grow its own life. So when you see leeches on the flesh of a human being, the leech has to be kind of pried away because it's not willing to give up the suction. So they apply fire and sometimes other instruments to pull the leech away. This anatomy is such that the body wants to reject a foreign entity. So this leech-like activity of the first life cell, it starts rotating, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us, in the triple darkness of the womb. Now just think of a clot, a cell of blood turning in the darkness of your womb. How does it turn? What is the axis upon which it turns? See, showing you that there's light in the darkness of the womb. There's electricity in the darkness of the womb, so that first cell of life, as it rotates, it has to rotate on an axis. It starts dividing, building. Then the leech, boom, it latches on to the wall of your uterus. This is why the enemy is giving the women certain kinds of cleansers that are chemically not good for the strength of your uterus. So when you use these chemicals that have things that take away odor and all of this, this is chemical. But what it's doing, it's breaking down the wall of your uterus. So even sometimes when you wish to get pregnant and you do have the connection between the sperm and the egg, when it gets to the second week or the third week, it can't hold on, and you have a miscarriage. Once that lump of congealed blood is formed, it's a very ugly looking thing. I'm not going to ask a question about miscarriages or abortions. If you've ever seen an aborted life in the clot stage, it's very, very ugly. And the reason you have to use some kind of instrument to take that life away from the uterus is because it's holding firm. The Quran calls it, it's finding a firm resting place. Isn't that beautiful language? Now it's growing. It's life. But if you take it in that stage, you take it in its ugliness of form. But if you allow it to stay, to turn, it becomes a life that you can hold and nurse, enjoy, and watch it grow. Why did Allah call this chapter containing these powerful words the clot? See, if you have nothing to attach yourself to, You're a life germ that is like wasted. It's like having a woman having sex with a woman who's not ovulating. Well, you got something out of it, but not life. So you keep trying if it is life that you want until she can tell you that she's missed her menses. Well, where did the blood go that we're used to seeing every 28 days? Where did it go? It became a part of the process of the growth of a new life. You are such a magnificent creation. And let me tell you, for any man to make you think that your only value is his pleasure and not the pleasure of God, then that is an ignorant man that is destructive of civilization. You are who we measure civilization by. We don't measure it by the man, it's by you. So when you are decent, when you are highly civilized, when you're articulate, when you know how to walk, when you know how to sit, when you know how to talk, when you keep your voice moderate, when you know how to be you, nothing more beautiful than you. But you spend so much money on the outside and not enough money on the inside. I'm coming to this. A leech, a suspended thing, because it's hanging now from the wall of the uterus, and it's forming a lump of congealed blood, and it is from that humble beginning that all of us came. It's in the chapter where we are asked to read, because when you don't know how to read, you cannot evolve into the great civilized man and woman that you could become. So illiteracy is a blight on the human family. I see Dr. Larry is here. I wanted to ask you, because I want, when this lecture is over, I wanted to ask those of us not to be ashamed if you don't read well. That's not for you to be ashamed of. It's for the society to be ashamed of an educational system that can turn you out as a functional illiterate. Does that make sense? So I wanted to ask Dr. Larry, is it possible to set up a reading class at night that will allow believers and non-believers who don't know how to read to come here to Muhammad Mosque and learn the value of this first command that God gave to Muhammad? Read. Dr. Larry, can that be arranged? We can do that? Thank you, sir. Do you know We have students at Muhammad University of Islam that are learning a study technology, and some of them would be willing to help their elders, anybody that wants to know how to read. We will not permit us to go on in life illiterate. Now I close. A people that cannot read are as ugly in their development as a clot is in the ugliness of its development. But the clot has to stay in a right environment attached to a source that will give it life. Am I making sense? If there is no attachment, if you're not attached to your school, and we lose attachment, I mean, why would you drop out? I'm not attached to that. Because that may not be attached to you. But here, see, we love you. Now, let me tell you something, brothers and sisters. This is not punk stuff. We love you. And what we hate is the ignorance that disallows you from realizing your full potential. In this Quran, I close with the 7th surah, the 157th verse. It's about a prophet. Listen, he's called the messenger prophet, the Ummi. U-M-M-I. Ummi means one who neither writes nor reads a writing. So here's God now choosing a man who could neither read nor write. So what should that tell you if you can't read, if you can't write? That doesn't mean that you can't perform and manifest your own greatness. If God chose a man through whom he gave this supreme revelation, who could neither read nor write, but yet taught, and now has 1,600,000,000 followers, most of whom read and write and have become the scholars that have set the world on fire. So, sister, if you can't read, I know there's a pride thing. I don't want to admit that I'm having a problem. But let me tell you something, it's not your fault. You know, it's your fault if you don't do something about it. But listen, family, listen. Do you know, when I was a youngster in school, about 72 years ago, phonics was as relevant to reading as reading itself. So I was a young boy, could read hard words because of phonics. Now you have to go buy phonics because phonics was taken out of the public schools. Why was that? See, the enemy knows that anything you want to learn in this life, it is somewhere written in a book. And when you got a people who don't read and refuse to learn to read, they will live their lives in ignorance of what they could have become if only they obeyed this command in the Holy Quran: read. Now, wait a minute. Let's take a moment to look at Prophet Muhammad. Peace be upon him. When the angel Gabriel spoke to him and said, read, his words were, I can't read. That didn't stop the angel from saying it again, read. In other words, don't tell me what you can't do. I'm giving you an order. Read. Now, when God gives you an order, if you're any kind of soldier, shouldn't you obey a righteous command? What did God ask the prophet to do except read? But the prophet could have said to him, look, man, there's nothing here to read. What are you talking about? Suppose I tell you that that book that became the Holy Quran came through Muhammad, but it was for a Muhammad that would be in that same condition in the last days of the present world. The children of Israel would receive an Ummi messenger prophet, Messiah, a man that could neither read nor write, a man from the hills of Georgia, a man that had to sharecrop. And some of you from the South, you know what I'm talking about. You couldn't go to school when it was cotton picking time. You young people don't know that, right? Bring up this book, The Secret Relationship. I just want a copy of it so I can, I have mine in the back room if somebody would go in my case. And oh, you have it. Oh, bless you, Brother Farrakhan. Now, of course, if you can't read, it's not interesting. But we put this book out, The Secret Relationship Between Blacks and Jews. This is not for hate. Listen to me. Most of the common black people have no interrelationship with the Jewish people. They don't own the shops anymore that we used to have a relationship with them because they own the shops. Well, the shops are closed, it's gone on to other things. So you have no real relationship. But if you're a football player, a basketball player, a baseball player, if you are a singer, a dancer, a rapper, a musician, somewhere along the line you're going to meet with a Jewish entrepreneur who want to be your manager, your agent. Talk to me. Oh, Farrakhan, I was enjoying the lecture. Why did you have to get to that? No. I really want you to understand why this book is necessary. See, any of us that have a relationship with the Jewish people, you're always at a disadvantage. Because they know you. but you don't know them. So when you are dealing with a people that you don't know, and they're dealing with an entity that they do know, they always have the upper hand with you in any negotiation, contract negotiation. Anytime you meet them, you are at a disadvantage because you don't know your origin in the world or theirs. But when you come here, it's not about hate. It's about removing ignorance that allows others to use you as a tool and also a slave, to keep you shackled to ignorance. See? Now, if you can't read, oh, this book is so valuable. Well, it ain't the Holy Quran. Nobody will help you when you read it. It's not the Bible. But I can take passages out of the Bible and Quran that if you understand this, it will deepen your understanding of just one ayat or verse of the Quran. Now, to those Jewish people who are watching by television, listen, I know you don't like Farrakhan. I understand. But I'm not a hater of you. I know how you got where you are. I know how you became who you are. Not that I knew it, I was taught it by a man that was taught by God. And I cannot help. I can't go back on that knowledge. I can't act as though I don't know when I do know. So you see, when a con man knows that you know the game, the con man can't con no more. If you like to play dice and you load your dice on your unsuspecting dice players, once they find out that your dice is loaded, they load up their weapon and load you up with lots of caps. So the point is, we want to live in a world free of con. We want to live in a world free of tricks, free of lies, deceit, treachery. And the only way we can live in a world that's like that is that we have to become imbued with knowledge, love knowledge, have an insatiable desire for knowledge, and that means we must become readers. So let's look at this. Those who follow the messenger prophet, the Ummi, whom they find mentioned in the Torah and the gospel. I had a discussion with some wonderful Muslims over point number 12. And I said, you know, that point remains on the back page of our paper because there's so much that you have not learned from its being there. And I said there's a whole body of knowledge that supports point number 12. Right. So we would be glad to sit down with your scholars, Christian, Jewish, and Muslim. We need to have that kind of discussion over those two titles that are mentioned in point number 12, Masih, Messiah and Mahdi that will set the whole world free. A sensible discussion of point number 12 without vitriol and bitterness. Because we're not going to give that point up. If the whole world comes against us, we'll just have to stand against the world. We know something, and we are willing to prove the something that we have been blessed to know. So this messenger prophet, he enjoins them good. Who's them? That's the children of Israel. And forbids them evil, and makes lawful to them the good things, and prohibits for them impure things, and removes from them their burdens and the shackles which were on them. So those who believe in him and help him and follow the light which has been sent down with him, these are the successful. Don't you want to be successful with your life? It's the only life you have. Don't you want to use the time that God has blessed you and me with to make ourselves successful in what we desire to do and be of good? Of course you do. Well, okay, what are you willing to sacrifice to be successful? I wanted to play the violin. Well, I really didn't want to. My mother wanted me to. But after I grew to love it, she never had to force me to practice. I drove her crazy. Practicing 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 hours a day sometimes. What did I sacrifice? See, when you want to be great in life, it's something you have to give up. So you have to think now, I want to be successful. I can't read like I want to. I want to read, then sacrifice some time. Just make up your mind, I'm going to do it. Let me tell you something. When you make up your mind, honest to God, in less than 6 months, you'll be reading anything that you desire to read. The problem book says that we only speak 400 words successfully. That's the limit of most of our vocabulary. And we don't have 400. You know, it's MF this and SOB that and FU this. And what, did I say something wrong? But isn't that the language pattern? When we go to the movies, it's disgusting. Every third word is FU, you, effing. Oh, now, man. Is there some other word that we could use? Of course there is. Is there a word that better describes who you are than MF? Yes, there's another word. Well, what is the word? I don't know. Come to the class then. See, once you learn to read, your vocabulary will expand to the point, not that you want to show off, like most of our learned ones do. They'll come to speak to a group and they want to impress them, you know. Yes, and you know, the myriad things, I ran into a plethora of problems, and I was astounded by such magnificent reality. They were, my God, what did you say? Well, hell, I didn't know what I was saying, but I was hoping that you would like what I was saying. See, we want to be impressive rather than expressive. See, so if you really want to be impressive, then become expressive and speak a language that the people readily understand. So my dear and beloved brothers, sisters, Elijah Muhammad, the Ummi prophet, the messenger prophet, that was found written of in the Torah and the gospel, is among us today. He's enlightening us. He's removing from us the burdens and the shackles which were on us. He's forbidding for us the evil and impure things and making lawful to us the good things. And so I think we're on the path to great success. But in order to do that, we have to believe in him. Now, in this sense, I have to claim that I'm trying to be an example. See, I'm just attached. Kind of like a leech, you know what I'm saying? But in the most positive way. I'm attached to the lifeline of God and his Messiah. Now look, wait now. Wait. When you have that attachment, see, now naturally, once you start getting attached, somebody wants to detach you from that to which you are attached. You go home and say, man, I was at the mosque today and I heard Farrakhan, that hater, that bigot, that anti-Semite, that anti-Christian, he's not a real Muslim, you know. And just as you were getting attached. Or you go home and a word hits you and breaks your attachment. So your friend that brought you, they ask, are you coming back next week? Ishmael is talking, man, he got a great stuff. Well, I think I've had something to do. You start making excuses because you've become detached. And when you become detached from that which gives you life, you have aborted the process that will bring you success. So dear beloved believers, people of God, you know, attach yourselves to that man. Believe in him. Honor him. And it doesn't stop there. See, you say you're attached to Jesus. That's a great attachment. But if you really are attached to Jesus, you wouldn't be a Negro. You wouldn't be colored girls. See, if you're attached to Jesus, the word nigger could never come out of your mouth. Because Jesus don't make niggers. Jesus don't make devils. Jesus makes people into God. So you're not really attached attached to Jesus. You're attached to the beauty of his name, the beauty of his character, but the beauty of his name and character has not touched most of you who claim that you're Christians. You have the cross on, that's good. But are you Christ-like? Come on, come on, come on. Well, why aren't you? Why aren't you Christ-like? Because there's no example of what being Christ-like is. You have some wonderful preachers who are trying to be that, and we applaud them and honor them. Stay attached then to a good teacher of righteous principles who tries to live what he or she teaches. Stay attached. When you find a good one, stay attached. See? Now you hang from that. Oh man, this is scripture. Boy, I wish I don't have time to do that. No. I've taken enough. But wait. If you stay attached, you'll see yourself forming into a new creation. And when this process is finished, the Bible says you will be changed in the twinkling of an eye, and you'll be like him. God wants to give you back your inheritance, which is his mind, his spirit, that you may be in his image and likeness and handle the business of ruling the earth and the universe and what he created. That's your destiny. And it starts from obedience to this command. Read. Read with the help of your Lord, who creates man from a clot. Read, and your Lord is most generous, who taught man by the pen what man knew not. That command that was given to Prophet Muhammad by the angel Jibreel. And in my talk with my Islamic brothers, I said, do you remember a hadith of the Prophet where he said a man all dressed in white came in the midst of him and his companions and asked him questions about the faith? And the Prophet answered the questions, and the man walked away. And the Prophet asked his companions, do you know who that was? He said, no. He said, that was the angel Jibreel in human form. In human form. So when Master Farrakhan Muhammad came to Elijah Muhammad, he offered him this book, but he offered it to him in Arabic and told him, read. And Muhammad answered, but I can't read. He said, read with the help of Allah, who created man from a clot and taught man by the pen what man knew not. Read. Your Lord is most generous. And then he named him Kareem. See, and the root is Akram. From the word Akram, Kareem, you get noble, generous, honorable. He knew the man he was teaching was noble, was honorable, was generous, and he named him Kareem. And in the end, when he was about to go, he asked his ministers. Well, you have chosen some to teach you. Would you allow me to choose one for you? They said yes. And Elijah Kareem was in the back of the room, and he called him forward, and he said, hear him. He gave him the name Muhammad, the Ummi messenger, the Messiah to the children of Israel, that we may be children not of Israel, but the sons and daughters of God himself. Thank you for listening, and may Allah bless you. Assalamu alaikum.
Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. All to Allah for the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. You can keep your applause going. We have received a beautiful, beautiful message this afternoon, this morning, from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan.
Brothers and sisters, I want to ask you a question. Did you have a question? No. Did you hold it on your mind? Was it answered? How many of you had your questions answered by what you heard today? Oh, isn't that wonderful? See, that shows that God used your brother as a channel. He's not worthy of worship, but respect, yes. You can honor him, yes, but all praise, really, all honor and worship belongs to the one God, Allah. He has no equal, no rival. And that's who we want you to fasten your love on, is Allah. And when you do that and attach yourself to his Messiah, bro, thank you for answering that question. You were truthful, weren't you? May Allah bless you all. And you know what would make me real happy? What are you going to teach next week, Ishmael?
Oh, you've given me a lot. Truth.
Well, look, I'm telling you, if you really respect and love what you heard today, this young man, son of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, I want you to, I don't want you to promise me. I just want you to make up in your mind that you want to hear more. And you come back and hear this young man. Oh, and we got some fireballs around here that, oh boy. And guess what? You're one of them too. All you got to do is get your attachment, keep on growing, and before you know it, you'll be so beautiful that the whole world will accept you in the best of civilized society. Thank you for honoring me this day with your presence. Assalamu alaikum.